Hello, friends. Let's get into it. March 26th, I'm doing this live, the second straight Bacon Bets podcast episode that I'm doing live. My life has been a little bit hectic, so I don't exactly have the time at night to record it like a normal podcast, edit it, and do all that stuff. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot more streamlined if I can just record live and upload it to YouTube as it happens. And then just kind of scrape the audio from that and then put that out in podcast form. And the reason why I'm busy so much this week is because this is my last week in the great city of New York. I am moving back to Canada 1 week from today. I will be in Canada. Less than a week to go. I'm officially crossing the border next Tuesday. So my life is hectic right now. This apartment is half packed up. My usual camera is already put away, which is why this is a little bit of a different angle. I'm using my backup webcam. There probably is even a little bit of echo in this audio because the room that I record in is almost empty. So it's not the best setup, but we got a lot of sports this week that I need to talk to you about, that I want to give out picks for, starting with the Houston Open. We got some LPGA back this week for the first time in a few weeks. It is obviously the Sweet 16 starting tomorrow. I got my picks for that. And tomorrow, not only does Sweet 16 start tomorrow, MLB Opening Day starts tomorrow. Why does the MLB not just start their season the Monday right after the first weekend of March Madness? They instead decide to put in opening day the same day as Sweet 16. We needed more sports these past few days. So yeah, we got a lot to get through, a lot to talk about. Hit me up in the chat with some picks for both MLB tomorrow, Houston Open. If you have an LPGA pick, I want to hear it. Sweet 16. Because I'm willing to, especially for MLB, I think I only have like 2 MLB bets locked in for tomorrow so far. So if you have some baseball picks, let me know. As I mentioned, this is my last week in New York. Some of you probably saw the picture I tweeted last night. I went to Keen's, which ever since I moved to New York, people recommended, Ian, you got to go to Keen's. You got to go to Keen's, one of the best steakhouses in New York. They are famous for their mutton chop, which I believe is just a lamb chop. I don't actually think, because a mutton is just aged lamb, I believe, but I don't think they actually age it. So I think it is just a huge, massive lamb. And if you saw the picture, it is the biggest piece of meat I've ever had to try to eat. Didn't really know how to cut it. Gonna be honest. I didn't love it. I thought I like lamb. I like lamb when I have 5 bites of lamb as an appetizer. I don't want to eat 5 pounds of lamb. I needed 5 bites, not 5 pounds, especially that lamb last night. Very gamey. You gotta have a specific palate, I think, to eat that much of an extremely gamey meat. Alex Field, Michigan and Purdue to cover. All right, I can. We'll get to my picks in a little bit. I can get behind that Michigan one, but Purdue, you're gonna pick Purdue to cover against Houston. That's a bold call. It's a bold call. I should probably send out a tweet saying that I'm live here, and then maybe we'll get into some picks. Last few days in New York. I would ask for anyone who's in New York to give me some recommendations, but I'm too busy the last few days anyways. If you give me a recommendation, I'm not going to be able to do it. What's going to happen is basically just kind of packing, getting ready these next few days. Saturday night, I'm going to make one more trip out to my favorite restaurant, which is Ciccio, located in Soho. A nice little small Italian restaurant that I do quite enjoy. Might go to the Comedy Cellar one more time that night after Ciccio, and that's basically it. Other than that is just me getting ready to cross the border. I'm just kind of filibustering here as I send out, and I should have had this tweet ready to go, but once again, not used to live streaming here, because I am live on several platforms. I'm live on Twitter, I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on Twitch. So you can be watching this on any of those platforms. Live to talk Houston Open. MLB Opening Day, Sweet 16. What a day. What a day, what a week, what a world. All right. And I realized I just said live to talk Houston. Houston could be anything, Houston. Let's start with the Houston Open. What I am talking about is the Texas Children's Houston Open, the PGA Tour event, the one that's kind of being used as a warm-up for some golfers before the Masters, most notably Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy. I don't know if I've ever seen a tournament have a plus 330 guy, a plus 700 guy, and then the next closest on the odds list, 28-1, which is my guy, the Double Glove Bandit, Aaron Rai. Talk about top heavy. Actually, updated odds. McIlroy's dropped a little bit, at least on FanDuel. Scottie Scheffler plus 350, McIlroy plus 650, and actually Aaron Rai 30-1. So at FanDuel, at least, no one else on the odds list until 30-1, which is crazy. I think as a bettor, if you're going to bet this event, I think you do need to bet on one of the top two guys. Because without that kind of high range below the Schefflers and the McIlroys, with there being that big of a drop-off, most likely you would think there's probably a decently strong chance one of those guys, Scheffler, McIlroy, brings their A game and wins this. So I think it's almost like a little bit of insurance to bet at least on one of them. And I think the obvious one to bet on would be Rory McIlroy. So yeah, not the sexiest pick in the world, but I did bet Rory McIlroy at 7-1, plus 700 earlier this week. I think the betting market needs to adjust their odds on Scottie Scheffler a little bit. Scottie Scheffler has not played this season as well as he has played last season, but he's still being priced at last year's prices. If we look at Scottie Scheffler, obviously he had that injury that he suffered over Christmas. He's finished outside the top 10, 3 in his last 5 starts. 3 of his 5 starts in 2025, he finished outside the top 10. He only finished better than T9 in one of those starts. Now, that's still, I mean, for any other golfer, that's a pretty good stretch, T9, T25, T3, T11, T20. But that is not the Scottie Scheffler we saw last year where he went on a stretch last year where he went, starting at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, he went win, T2, win, T8, T2, win, T41, win, solo 17, win 4, T33, win, T9. Like, it was basically win or top 5 runner-up, and then like the very, very rare non-great start. But yet, despite his numbers, despite his finishes so far this season, still being priced as if he is the Scottie Scheffler of 2024, and I just don't think that he is. So I'm going to bet Rory McIlroy. He already has 2 wins this season. He's been the better golfer of the two so far in 2025, and I will continue to bet that way until Scheffler proves me wrong. So I got McIlroy at 7-1. That's not going to get you up in the morning, which is crazy. Any other sport, if you bet a 7-1 and you win, you'd be happy. Golf, you feel like you're cheating betting a 7-1. I'm also going to go back to my guy Alex Smalley, who I've bet a number of times so far this season. 5th on the PGA Tour in strokes gained around the green, 7th in total strokes gained. He has statistically been an extremely good golfer. He is coming off a missed cut at the Valspar, but don't let that scare you too much because he actually does have another missed cut this year that he bounced back with a strong finish. He missed the cut of the Farmers Insurance and then followed up with a T21, T10, T18, T14 run. So you may see that missed cut of the Valspar there last week and think that he's off and it's time to kind of sell your stock in Alex Smalley. That is not what I'm doing. I still think there is some value on him there. I can't look past his numbers. And like I said, he's extremely good around the greens. And there's a tweet out there, I'm just going to bring it up here, that was sent out by Justin Ray at Justin Ray Golf earlier this week. The tweet says, top 10 finishers at Memorial Park, home of the Houston Open, which has hosted the Houston Open the last 4 times it's been played, have got 19.5% of their strokes gained total from shots around the green. Only the U.S. Open has a higher percentage in recent seasons. So strokes gained around the green, scrambling, going to be big this week. And not only does Alex Smalley rank 7th in total strokes around the green this season, but he's 5th in total strokes around the green. 7th in total strokes, 5th in strokes gained around the green. So I'm going to keep riding Alex Smalley, especially at 60-1. At least that was earlier this week. I believe 60-1 is still available at FanDuel. And then finally, my last bet, which is a long shot bet, I got him at 170-1. I don't believe there's a 170 available out there. I think there's still a 150 at FanDuel. Yeah, 150 at FanDuel. Mac Meisner. It is pronounced Meisner, right? I know every time I see his name, I just think of Mark Messier. Mac Meisner. I got him at 170-1. Did not have, he was kind of a hot name last year in 2024, did not have his best stuff early in 2025, but some signs of recent improvement. T42 at the Players, T28 last week at Valspar, and it's more than just his T28 finish at the Valspar last week. It's a fact he gained 1.93 true strokes per round with his approach play. We love to see some approach play trending in the right direction. Also, his biggest strength has been his chipping, 13th on the PGA Tour in strokes gained around the green this season. So in a field that's wide open, once you get past Scheffler and McIlroy, 170 to 1, or even now current price 150 to 1, I think Mac Meisner is worth a pretty good look there. So we got Rory McIlroy 7 to 1, Alex Smalley 60 to 1, Mac Meisner 170 to 1 is going to be my card here for the Houston Open. I also have I also sprinkle a little bit on Alex Smalley to be the first round leader at 60 to 1. Also like a prop bet for this week is Danny Willett to be the top Englishman. Really his biggest competition is going to be Aaron Rai, but Danny Willett is an interesting case. Let me see if I can bring up Danny Willett here and share my screen for a second. He has been extremely good at everything except for his irons this season. Let me see if I can go last 25 rounds. No, how do I change this on Data Golf? I don't know. Maybe I'll just bring up his PGA Tour profile. Danny Willett also could be a name to keep in mind, not to win here in a couple weeks of the Masters, but maybe a guy to consider a top 20 bet. Look at this. Yeah, okay. Boom, share my screen. Look at this player profile for Danny Willett in 2025 on the PGA Tour. Strokes gained off the tee, better than average. Strokes gained total, 42nd. Strokes gained putting, 20th. Strokes gained around the green. First, he leads the PGA Tour this season in strokes gained around the green. Strokes gained approach, 175th. Losing almost a stroke per round with his approach play. If he can figure out his irons, the rest of his game is there. The rest of his game is there, especially what's important this week. I told you earlier, strokes gained around the green. That's going to be huge this week. If we get an even average performance from him with his irons, I like him to finish as the top Englishman this week, which is available at 10 to 1. All right, so those are my picks for the Houston Open. If you have any picks for the Houston Open, let me know in the chat, and I'll talk about them. All right, LPGA, really quickly. I don't want to lose too many people here with LPGA. I personally love betting on LPGA. I do think there's a better edge to be had betting on LPGA. I've had a ton of success betting on LPGA through the years. It is the Ford Championship, a little bit of a tough course to handicap. They're at Whirlwind Golf Club in Arizona. First time they've played it here, so we have zero course history, which always makes it difficult. So I'm going to keep things pretty straightforward. I'm going to take good ball strikers and golfers who have played well this season. Not only is the PGA Tour a two-man race, the LPGA this week also a two-woman race. Nelly Korda and Ataya Gino Titicol are the top two golfers in the world right now. They are by far head and shoulders above the rest. Lydia Ko, there is a conversation to be had. Lydia Ko is probably the clear number 3. But then after that, it's a pretty significant drop-off. So just like the PGA Tour, if you're betting LPGA this week, I do think you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you don't bet on either Korda or Gino Titicol. I ended up taking Gino Titicol at 8 to 1. I also took Yalimi No 30 to 1 at FanDuel. She's only teed it up 3 times in 2025, but in those 3 starts, she won the Founders Cup. Then she finished T11 and T7 in her other 2 starts. So someone who's gotten off to a very strong start to this season at 30 to 1 is a pretty good bet. And then I'm ready to once again lose some money on Megan Kang at 50 to 1, who so far this season, it seems like she is the same old Megan Kang. She'll be the best ball striker on the LPGA, but then she'll lose over a stroke every single round with her putting. If she even has an average round or tournament putting, she will not only be in contention, but she could very well win. We're getting her at 50 to 1. So LPGA, we got Gino Titicol 8 to 1, Yalimi No 30 to 1, and Megan Kang 50 to 1. If you're going to bet LPGA, I'd recommend looking at FanDuel. For one reason or another, FanDuel consistently has the best odds for LPGA. You can get better value on them more than any other of the regulated books. All right, that's it for golf. I gave you Houston Open. I gave you LPGA. Let's go to the Sweet 16 next, and then we will wrap things up. We'll wrap things up afterwards with MLB Opening Day because I only have 2 picks for that locked in so far. So let's talk Sweet 16. Huge comeback for me. I had a terrible round of 64 for March Madness. I went 2-2 in the first 4. Round of 64, I went 10-22, and then I followed that up by going 11-5 in the round of 32. So I'm still down. Let me actually figure out exactly what my record is so far through betting on every single March Madness game. Yep. No. What am I doing here? What date of the tournament start? Today is Wednesday. Yeah, so there to there, leagues, NCAA. So far, betting on every single March Madness game, I'm 25-27 for minus 4.26 units. So still down, but hey, at least my performance in the round of 32 gave me a fighting chance to get back to the profit by the end of this thing, especially if I can put together a profitable Sweet 16. So let's talk Sweet 16. Tim in the chat, does Purdue have a shot this weekend? We're going to talk about it. I'll tell, spoiler alert, I don't think they do. But that is, Tim, it sounds like you might, and Alex earlier in the chat said he's on Purdue to cover. I don't think they have a shot, but we will get to that game. We're going to go chronological order as we always do here. So we are going to start Alabama, BYU. I'm just going to take the fun bet. Was it BYU? I did this against Wisconsin. Yes. Alabama. Did I do that in the second round for Alabama as well? Alabama played. Who did Alabama? I got the bets right here. Why am I blanking on who Alabama just beat? Alabama just beat. It was Robert Morris in the first round. St. Mary's. I took Alabama to cover. I took the over in BYU, Wisconsin, because I thought that was going to be a fun one. I think this is also going to be a fun one. I will take the over for the second straight BYU game. St. Mary's. Yeah, thanks, Tim. Yeah, Tim. Tim's a Purdue fan. Listen, Purdue has a shot. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm not going to be betting on them, though. But listen, you have a shot. Unfortunately, you had a much better shot last year. And you ran into the buzzsaw that was the UConn Huskies. I'm having some fun here with this first game of Sweet 16. It is the over. There's arguments to be made on both sides for these two teams. The argument against BYU is their perimeter defense stinks. 248th in opponent three-point field goal percentage. Teams are shooting 35% from beyond the arc against them. Not a good stat to have when you're taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide, who loves to toss up 3 balls. The argument against Alabama is in the other areas outside of perimeter defense, their defense is not good. Most notably, they don't force turnovers. And it's hard to cover a spread against a team that can shoot this well in by BYU if you don't force turnovers, if you don't create extra scoring chances for yourself. So there's arguments to be made against both teams and arguments to be made for both teams. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to root for offense because these two teams shoot the ball a ton. Alabama also leads the country in pace. In possessions per game, they are first. They also average over 90 points a game. That is first in the country. And these two teams both rank pretty high in floor percentage, which I've talked about plenty of times in the past. It is the percentage of a team's possessions that result in at least 1 point being scored. Alabama 9th in floor percentage, BYU 35th. So I'm hoping BYU's poor perimeter defense leads to plenty of threes from Alabama. And I hope Alabama's average defense as a whole leads to BYU's hot shooting continuing. So it is the first game of the Sweet 16 on Thursday night. Let's go ahead and sit back, have some fun. There are fewer bets that are more fun to cheer for than the over in a March Madness game. So that's how we're going to start our Sweet 16. BYU, Alabama, over 175.5. I did not write the juice in there, but it is minus 110, I believe. Let me double check, though. Minus 110. Yep. Next up, you have my Maryland Terrapins. Let's actually take a quick second to take a look at my bracket. And it's going to be a quick second because unless you're an idiot and you took a bunch of random teams to go deep, your NCAA tournament bracket is probably still alive. I've heard a lot of people brag about how good their bracket's looking. Yeah, because you probably went chalk, because this is the chalkiest tournament of all time. If you didn't go chalk, you're screwed. If you went chalk, you're in a good spot. I've talked about before. I knew this heading into the tournament. I know this now. Nothing has changed. My entire bracket relies on Maryland. If Maryland makes the Final Four, I'm in a great spot. If they make the championship, I'm probably going to win the smaller pools I am in. Other than that, I have nothing interesting. I have 7 of the 8 elite teams I have in my bracket are still alive, but of course they are. They're all top seeds. So nothing interesting to talk about the bracket because yours probably looks very similar. Let's get back to picks. I love Maryland. They're my pick heading in to the tournament. I just talked about how I have them in my championship game. It would be hypocritical of me to now bet against Maryland in this game. I will say one thing that they do, I think they can do well against this Florida team, is they do have a strong perimeter defense. To beat Florida, to hang with Florida, you do need to be able to defend the 3-ball, and Maryland is 14th in opponent 3-point field goal percentage. One thing I do want to say that we need to see some improvement. Tim says he's 3rd of 400. Attaboy, Tim. But of Maryland and Arizona winning this round. I'm with you as well. Let's get, well, not Arizona, but let's get Maryland through. My concern with Maryland, and one of the reasons why I picked them to go far is because they rank really high in that extra scoring chances per game stat that I always cite. But they did not do that against Colorado State, and that's why they almost lost to Colorado State. Colorado State, one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country, grabbed how many offensive rebounds grabbed against Maryland? It seemed like every single time they're grabbing an offensive board. Let me actually look this up. I didn't want rate. Oh, rate works. Yeah, their season at, well, it's going to be, I'll illustrate it better if I just go total offensive rebounds. This season, they averaged 7.2 rebounds per game, 307th in the country. Against Maryland, somehow, against Derek Queen, they got 12 offensive rebounds. 5 more offensive rebounds against Maryland than they did against other teams the rest of the season. Maryland has to fix that. They have to have a little bit of passion with the rebounding. They need to stop turning the ball over, because if they don't do those things, they will lose to Florida and they will not cover the spread. I choose to trust their season-long metrics that show they can do that they will do that, and there's no way that they will overlook a team like Florida. So snap out of it, Terrapins. You got to start grabbing some offensive boards. You got to rebound, and if you do, you're going to have a chance to win this game. Tim does bring up a good point. No bench versus a team like Florida is tough, which brings me to my next point. Maryland cannot get into foul trouble. They can't. Maryland's starting 5 can hang with any starting 5 in the country. If their starting 5 runs into foul trouble and they have to go to their bench, they will be in trouble. That's a good point, Tim. Listen, if someone's on Florida to win the national championship, if someone's on Florida to win and cover the spread, I'm not going to argue against you. Florida might be the most flawless team left in the tournament, but Maryland at its best can beat the Florida Gators. I truly believe that. All right, let's keep things moving along here. Next up, we got Duke against Arizona. I am going to take Duke minus 9.5, minus 105. Duke has lived up to their expectations through the first 2 weeks, especially last week, obviously. And you want to talk about flawless team. I mean, next to Florida, that might be even more flawless. I had some concerns heading into the tournament with their strength of schedule, because I don't think ACC was a good conference this year, and that was proven by the performance of Louisville and Clemson in the opening round. But I don't think that matters. Not only that, I think it's a stylistically good matchup for Duke. Arizona takes a lot of 2-point shots. They're more of a 2-point shooting team. Duke is 3rd in opponent 2-point field goal percentage. Duke is more of a 3-point shooting team. Arizona is 155th in opponent 3-point field goal percentage. Now, the narrative heading into this week, and I've already heard it as I take a sip of my beer. The narrative heading into this game is going to be Caleb Love. Caleb Love played against Duke 9 times in his career. And everyone's going to say he knows Duke. He knows how to beat Duke. He's going to lead Arizona to the win. He's, if not win cover. Let me drop this little tidbit for you. Caleb Love has shot 37.6% from the field in 9 career games against Duke. He might have some wins against Duke. And obviously these are different teams, different players. But Duke has figured him out. If he shoots 37.6% from the field against Duke for Arizona, Arizona will not win. They will not cover the spread. Now, if his numbers were jumping off the chart against Duke throughout his career, then maybe I could buy into this narrative, but I'm not buying into this Caleb Love against Duke narrative that other people are. I will fade Caleb Love. I will fade the Wildcats. I will take Duke -9.5, -105. The final game on Thursday, Arkansas. Oh, Tim, here we go, Tim. Guy's going to either drop 30 plus or go 3 from 20 from the field. I agree with that, and I lean more towards going 3 for 20 from the field. I've been wrong before, though, Tim. I could be wrong again. Arkansas, Texas Tech, Arkansas, as I like to call them now. Texas Tech, I'm going to go with an under here, under 148. I didn't really feel strongly on either side of the spread. I do think both defenses match up well against the opposing offenses. Arkansas, it has a strong perimeter defense. Texas Tech is a 3-point shooting team. Texas Tech is a strong interior defense. Arkansas is a 2-point shooting team. So I think the defensive strengths line up well here. And also Arkansas 48th in opponent floor percentage, Texas Tech 82nd. That's all I really got for that one. I don't love this bet. I didn't like a side on it. My best bet I could figure out was an under. If I didn't commit to betting on every single game, I'll probably pass this game. So certainly don't take this as one of my better bets of the Sweet 16, one of my favorite bets of the Sweet 16. But I will take the under. I do think the defensive matchups should bode well for the under in this one. All right, let's keep moving. We are now on to Friday's slate of games. The first game is going to be Michigan State against Ole Miss. Now we'll go Michigan State -3.5 against Ole Miss. This is a terrible stylistic matchup for Ole Miss. Teams that Ole Miss are going to play well against are going to be 3-point shooting teams, and teams that Ole Miss can win the turnover battle against. Michigan State is the opposite. Ole Miss's perimeter defense is very good, but their interior defense is bad. They rank 209th in opponent 2-point field goal percentage. Michigan State does not shoot a ton of threes. They drive to the rim. They drive to the hoop. That's going to attack the weakness of the Rebels defense. And also the other biggest strength for Michigan State is their offensive rebounding, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. Ole Miss outside the top 200 in defensive rebounding. They went from a game against Iowa State that was a very good stylistic matchup for Ole Miss, and now this is a nightmare stylistic matchup for Ole Miss. I will lay the points with Tom Izzo. My TikTok has, for some reason, started feeding me Tom Izzo videos, which I love. I love Tom Izzo. He is the last of a dying breed of coaches who are hard asses, but at the end of the day, love their players. I forget which player it was a few years ago, but he lunged at a guy in a huddle during a timeout. I love that. Coaches need to start threatening violence against their players more often. How's that for a take? Let's move on. We got Kentucky against Tennessee. This will be the third time that these two teams have played. Can I squash a narrative right away? And respected people in the industry say this. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. It's actually not at all. Actually, if you look at the past numbers, I don't have them exactly up in front of me. But if a team beats a team twice and then they play them a third time, and this crosses basically every single sport, the team that won the first 2 games has a much higher win percentage than the team that loses. It's confirmation bias. Anytime it doesn't happen, anytime that the team that is 0-2 wins the third one, the narrative starts going, oh, it's because it's hard to beat a team 3 times. The narrative is, but then if the team that won the first 2 wins the third one, no one ever says, oh yeah, maybe it makes sense that they beat them the first 2 times. So if you're betting on Tennessee because it's, quote, hard to beat a team 3 times in a season, I disagree. Kentucky, listen, I said this heading into the tournament. I felt Kentucky was on the bad end of a lot of poor variance this season. I thought they had a little bit of bad luck. And I think they're showing that so far this year, or this tournament. They're a much better shooting team. Their effective field goal percentage numbers are way better than Tennessee, and they can defend the perimeter better. Tennessee's a 3-point shooting team. The Wildcats, let me get their exact ranking here. You know what the bad part about, like, you would think recording a podcast while sipping a beer would be fun. The problem is I have to burp the whole time. And I know I didn't go to broadcasting school, but I think burping into a microphone is frowned upon. Kentucky, 24th in the country in opponent 3-point field goal percentage, keeping teams to shooting 30.6% from beyond the arc. If they can slow down the Tennessee 3-pointer and, keep their hot shooting going offensively, Kentucky's going to be in this game, if not win it. And in my bracket, I do have them going to the Elite Eight, so I would like that. So there you go. Kentucky plus 4.5, minus 112 is what I got against Tennessee. Tim, an inevitable Tennessee versus Purdue matchup coming. Oh, God, no. Please, no. Please. Michigan against Auburn. Are we sure Michigan's not better than everyone thinks? 9.5-point underdogs Michigan is. I know they turn the ball over a ton. Auburn doesn't force a ton of turnovers. They're like 142nd in opponent turnovers. Michigan got hot at the right time. It might be... You might just have to take the points with Michigan. These two teams, even though they both, Auburn won both their games so far in the tournament, it does still kind of feel like two teams trending in opposite directions, though. I don't know how much I trust Auburn. Truly, I don't. Should they win this game? Yes. 9.5 points, though, against the Big Ten tournament champs. And like I said, Michigan's going to get in real trouble when they face a team that forces a ton of turnovers. They almost lost to UC San Diego, who forces a ton of turnovers. Auburn doesn't. That's not their strength. So I'm going to take the points with Michigan. Too big of a spread. Too many points, as they say. Michigan plus 9.5, minus 115. Houston, Purdue. All right. Tim, if you're still in the chat, make your case for Purdue. Is it just because you're a Purdue fan? I'm going to take Houston. Houston's my pick to win the whole thing. I think this is the year they get over the hump. Purdue's defense is just so bad. They're like, what are they in defensive efficiency here? 200 and something, 185th in defensive. No, I'm at opponent floor percentage. I'm on the wrong stat. Defensive efficiency, 196th in defensive efficiency. Now they take a Houston team that's first. Purdue's going to have to shoot the lights out, or Houston's going to have to really have a bad shooting game. Extra scoring chances per game, Purdue, 121st, 1.1. Houston, 8.2 extra scoring chances per game. It is so hard to beat a team that gives themselves an extra 8 possessions per game. I shouldn't say possessions. I should say scoring chances. Possessions would be a little bit differently. Purdue is a good shooting team, but their shooting has not been good lately. 47.7% effective field goal percentage over their last 3 games. Not promising. They're going to have to shoot better than that to beat Houston. Yeah, Tim, I think we're toast. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, Tim. I wish I could give you some more promising news. Unfortunately, this Houston team is a wagon. And I'm shocked the spread's only 8. So I'm going to lay the points of the Houston. I'm a Houston guy. I just am. They don't have any weaknesses. I'll take Houston minus 8. All right, so there you go. Just recap my Sweet 16 picks, and I'll wrap up with a couple quick MLB plays for opening day. Starting out, BYU, Alabama, over 175.5, minus 110. Maryland, plus 6.5, minus 110 against Florida. Duke, minus 9.5, minus 105 against Arizona. Arkansas, Texas Tech, under 148.5, minus 110. Michigan State, minus 3.5 against Ole Miss. Kentucky, plus 4.5, minus 112 against Tennessee. Michigan, plus 9.5, minus 115 against Auburn. Houston, minus 8 against Purdue. Tim, basically, we need to get lucky. Need Braden Smith to go nuclear, but I think he will do too much, and the Houston defense will take advantage of it. Listen, crazier upsets have happened, Tim. It's only 8 points. It's only 8 points, man. Crazier things have happened. Bigger upsets have happened. You got to cheer for your fellas. Unfortunately, I'll be cheering against you. All right, let's move on to opening day for MLB. I only got 2 picks so far. If I come up with more by tomorrow, I will tweet them out. I'm gonna back my Blue Jays plus 102 home underdogs to the Orioles in some opening day action. I do think are the Blue Jays going to compete this year? Are they going to be a playoff team? Probably not. I do think they underperformed last year, though. I do think the market is underestimating the Blue Jays this season. Blue Jays still have a lot of skill in their lineup. Jose Barrios looks like is starting against the Orioles. And I think the Orioles, the opposite is true. Orioles didn't do much in the offseason. I think we're going to see a little regression from the O's this season. I think we're going to see some positive regression from the Blue Jays. And the main thing is the pitching matchup. Zach Eflin against the Blue Jays, bad last year. Like a 5.52 ERA against the Blue Jays last year. Meanwhile, Barrios did very well against the Orioles. I think only 2 or 3 starts last year, but he had a very good ERA against the Orioles. Obviously, slightly different lineups, but that's what I'm going off for opening day. I don't have really current stats to go off of. So, yeah, I think there is a pitching advantage to Barrios, and I do think the Blue Jays at the start of the season are going to be a little bit undervalued in the betting market. Any MLB futures, Tim asks? No. I did not place any MLB futures. For me to place a future on a sport, I need to be really actually know what's going on in the offseason and feel like I have a good grasp on what's going to happen the coming season. I'm not during the MLB offseason. I'm not an MLB guy. There's too much other stuff going on. Football, golf, college basketball, hockey. I didn't pay enough attention to the offseason. You know what? Let me take a quick look. If anything sticks out. I'm not going to go deep into win totals. Let's see here. Let me actually share my screen. Let's take a little look at some. I mean, the Dodgers are probably going to win the World Series, right? Plus 240 preseason odds is hilarious. Not going to touch the World Series market. Can I get some division odds here? Yankees plus 155. I know the Red Sox are... Jays are 10-1 to win the AL East. Come on. We got to do a little bit better than that. I don't know. The Yankees are banged up. I don't know if they deserve being plus 155 to win the AL East. I know the Red Sox are popular pick to win the AL East, plus 250. Am I being a homer for saying the Blue Jays have a little bit of value at 10-1? Is that crazy? If I had to bet on a team, I think I'd bet on them. I think the value is kind of gone in the Red Sox. I think the O's regress a little bit. I think the Yankees are banged up. I think the Rays stink. Maybe sprinkle a little bit on the Jays. AL Central. I like the Tigers plus 230 to win the AL Central. Tarek Skubal. AL West. Nothing. NL East. No, that seems about right. NL Central. Kind of like the Reds. At plus 440. NL West. No. Dodgers minus 800 to win their division preseason. Probably some value there, to be honest. I'm in New York, so I can't see awards right now. Yeah. I mean, this is the most home runs. Let me see if I can find a deep guy that I like for most home runs. Teoscar Hernandez, 65-1 most home runs. How about that? Former J. I mean, I'm being super. This is my issue. I don't know enough about baseball where I just automatically want to, be biased with my picks. I do think there's not that they're going to win the AL East, but I think Blue Jays might be worth a sprinkle at 10-1. That's all I got for you. Hockey, go Sabres. Oh, God. All right, so I do like the Jays on opening day. based on pitching matchup and based on, I think we're going to see some positive regression from them. The other pick I do like is the Astros to beat the Mets, which I bet at minus 130. The Mets are starting that guy from the Yankees as their starter, and he has not started a game since his rookie season, and now they're going to try him out as a starter, and I just don't know how well that's going to go, at least early in the season. Clay Holmes. And now he has to take on Framber Valdez, who I'm a big fan of. Framber Valdez, I think he might be the most underrated pitcher in Major League Baseball. So I just think that pitching advantage as a whole sways significantly towards the Astros. And Mets, I would probably give a slight edge offensively, but not a big enough gap to make up for the pitching advantage in favor of the Astros. So I will take the Astros minus 130 at home to the Mets. Those are my two MLB opening day plays. Blue Jays plus 102, Astros minus 130 against the Mets. So there you have it. Those are all my picks for this week. I gave you Houston Open, I gave you LPGA, I gave you MLB Opening Day, and I gave you Sweet 16. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Subscribe to the Bacon Bets podcast. I will probably go live Saturday morning at some point to give my picks for the Elite Eight. And then next time you see me, I will be set up in Toronto, in downtown Toronto. And then I'll start doing some more pre-recorded stuff. But big move. Final few days in New York City. It's been a fun 3.5 years that I've lived in New York. But it's time to head home. It is time to head home. I miss Canada. I miss my people. You know what I miss almost more than anything else? Not that I miss, maybe I'm looking forward to. I hate going to sports games now. And obviously, anytime the Leafs are in town, I'll go watch. Anytime the Blue Jays are in town, I go watch. I hate rooting for the road team. Rooting for the road team at a sporting event sucks. Because when the team you root for scores, it's kind of silent. And if you cheer too hard, people around you are going to get mad at you. But then when the home team scores and there's the goal song and everyone's standing up and cheering and it's great vibes, like you're pissed because I want to be amongst my people. I want to watch a Leafs game amongst Leafs fans. I want to watch a Blue Jays game amongst Blue Jays fans. I can't wait. I'm going to a Blue Jays game in Toronto, April 16th in the afternoon against the Braves. I can't wait. All right, that's the show. Best of luck with all your bets across various sports this weekend. I will talk to you Saturday morning, and we'll go over some Elite Eight plays. Talk to you then.